Well, the star of the upcoming Captain America movie would like you to know that the worst part about that name is the word America, because apparently you don't have to even like being from America to play Captain America. This is his actual quote, and we'll listen to it just for context. He says, Captain America, this is Anthony Mackie, of course. He says, Captain America represents a lot of different things, and I don't think the term America should be one of those representations. This was a well-edited video, there would have been a record scratch right there. And then it would have just been me doing the JD Vance stare at you. He goes on, it's about a man who keeps his word, who has honor, dignity, and integrity, someone who is trustworthy and dependable. I feel like he's saying that those aren't qualities that America represents by saying that America has anything to do with it. That, or it's weird globalist slop, in which case he should just be Captain Planet, but Captain Planet is already taken. It's a real thing. I had to explain Captain Planet to Mary.
You're right. That might be the implication that he's making, that, you know, American values are not values of a good guy in the narrative.
The problem is Captain America is an actual individual who's supposed to represent the best of the American value system. Now, he was created, much like Superman, as wartime propaganda. He punched communists and Nazis alike, but... and we'll listen to the quote, but the first thing I thought of, because we're going to show a lot of people dunked on this. I mean, endless people. I sent like an hour last night sending myself tweets of people dunking on this. But the first thing I thought of, because the people pushing back on it were saying that, look, you know, he's not necessarily agreeing with the government, but that's always been true. If you guys remember in the movie Captain America Winter Soldier, which in my opinion is still the best depiction of the character, he has a back and forth right at the very beginning with Nick Fury about the values of Project Insight, where basically Nick Fury is the government overreach. He's got a bunch of basically WMDs orbiting the sky, ready to take out people at a moment's notice. He wants to preemptively kill bad guys, and Captain America says it's by holding a gun to people's head and calling it protection. Whereas Nick Fury says S.H.I.E.L.D. takes the world as it is, not as we wish it to be. Captain America represents hope and eternal optimism in the human condition, which is representative of American-held values. What he's saying here is really, really stupid.
Wait. Do I disagree with Captain America?
You probably do. You're probably Team Nick Fury in this all the way.
I'm questioning everything
I know for a fact you're Team Nick Fury all the way.
Yeah, we're gonna preemptively kill the bad guys. Yes, we are. Yes.
That's so he goes. We're
going to launch them to Mars.
I remember he says the satellites can read a terrorist DNA as they come out of their hidey hole. I'm like, I don't know how that works, but it sounds cool. But he basically says that the point is to minimize casualties and kill terrorists before they can act.
Yeah. That seems like common sense to me, but you know what? If that's the way they want to write Captain America's character, that's his moral value system.
That's literally the whole point.
Stay true to that in the next one. But we have a 20 from the Manic Mustache before we do. Late as usual, but apropos to the thought of baked goods. Mr. Dasovich, why do you believe that most women think that men want to be hobos? Ms. Morgan, why do you believe that most men want to be hobos? Stay toxic, my friends.
Did I say that? Was I on some bullshit one day?
There are some multiple like layers to those statements, but I was just told by men that all men want to be hobos. I'm not really. I was just fact checking that on the show and seeing if men would corroborate the statement, and they did. They said they all really want to live the hobo lifestyle, at least for a little while, and then they return back. Like, it means homeward bound.
Well, it was like when...
It's about going on a journey.
It was like when that woman made the video about men wanting quests.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, let's listen to what Anthony Mackie had to say. I went off on a bit of a tangent here.
By the way, is he saying this outside of the U.S.?
Yes,
saying
he's
this
in
to
Italy.
A non-American audience.
The best argument that I saw... was somebody saying that he's softening it to give it to a globalist audience, meaning that... But here's the thing. I don't care. It's Captain America. It's not Captain Worldwide or Mr. Worldwide. It's not
Mr. Worldwide.
It's not Mr. Worldwide. It's not any of those things. It's Captain America. Look, I saw somebody in the chat earlier mention like Japan loves Goku. like represented them at the Olympics. They also love Godzilla. Godzilla does a lot of damage and a lot of collateral damage when it comes to Godzilla. It's not a bad thing to have idols that are tied to your country's nationalism. It's not. So let's listen to what he has to say.
For me, Captain America represents a lot of different things, and I don't think the term, America should be one of those representations. Like, it's about a man who keeps his word, who has honor, dignity, and integrity. Someone who is...
I feel like he's saying by that divide that those don't represent American values. He's trying to make it an individualist statement when Captain America is inherently not an individual. He is representative of a nation, of a culture.
He's implying that honor and dignity and integrity are somehow at odds with Americanism.
Which also that ties it back to government, right? Captain America is representative of the whole point in that conversation again with Nick Fury is he talks about freedom, and we fought for freedom, and Fury says, look, you were part of the silent or the greatest generation. You guys did some bad shit. He goes, yes, because we did so with the hopes that the population would be free. What you're doing here by preemptively trying to kill bad guys and sorting out the casualties after the fact is not freedom, it's tyranny. So it doesn't change his value system. His value system runs at odds from the government from time to time. But I guess you could say that is a theme in this upcoming movie because in it, Thunderbolt Ross wants to bring him back in and use him as both as an agent of the government. So I guess that theme could matter, but I don't think that he's being that specific here. I think he's trying to go off on an intellectual tangent and it's just not connecting.
Yeah.
Trustworthy and dependable. It's kind of, this is kind of like an aspect of a dream coming true. When I was a kid, all of us as actors, I believe, want to get back to that day before someone told you no. When you look out your door and you see a 5-year-old kid with a stick and he's slaying dragons to save the princess in the tower, that kid really believes there are dragons out there. That stick is really a sword and he's really trying to save that princess. And
what if the kid is outside playing as Captain America and he really believes in Captain America?
You're going to tell him no?
Then one day somebody told him no. There are no dragons, that's not a sword, and that princess is not there. And all of his little dreams were dashed.
Okay. And we had another quote here. Another video.
Yeah. Well, on a separate occasion in an interview, Anthony Mackie...
He makes it about like the racial stuff. Like I don't even... it's just so extraneous and I don't even care. Like to me, the sad part, we'll play it, but the point is like it makes it worse. But bro, you're like a week out from 2 weeks out from the release of it. You could have said literally anything other than, I don't think it should represent America. Like, even if you believe it, I'm comfortable with you lying in this case to make your studio some money.
But I think that he is using this as an opportunity to talk about his views on race and critical theory.
Captain America Black, what kind of opportunity and if you want, what kind of challenge was
it's a leading question.
It is.
It was huge.
But he jumped on it.
For many different reasons. I feel like it's just as important for black kids to see a black Captain America as white kids to see a black Captain America. Growing up, one of my favorite superheroes was Green. So it wasn't about race. It wasn't about, anything. It was just
those statements contradict each other.
Yeah.
You said it was important for both white kids and black kids to see a black Captain America, but then you point out that one of your favorite superheroes was green, which has no correlation whatsoever because there aren't actually green people in the world unless they're sick and about to throw up. So unless you're making some statement on the ill.
About him being a good guy and trying to do the right thing. And I think imagery is important. My son is 15 years old and his world is so different than mine. When I went to school, my school was 99% black. And now his school is like 50%, 40% white. So when he has a soccer game or an event, you have Latino kids, you have white kids, you have Asian kids all playing together. So I think it's very important for kids of all races to be able to watch something and have someone to look up to. No matter what they look like, you can see that that package comes with a good human being as opposed to what they've been perceived as by everyone else.
I'll give him this. It was a leading question. My statement to the contrary would be that in playing Falcon as Sam Wilson, he also played a character that you can look up to that was worthy of your time and attention, and that taking on the role of Captain America when many believe that it should go to Bucky is a bit of a contradiction because it doesn't really prove anything he just said. It's just saying that this specific character that he's going to portray is good. Well, the other character was good too. Why be this one specifically? But I won't even put that one on him because I think that the guy asked him the leading question and he went with it.
They tend to ask these leading questions that corner actors into addressing social issues or race issues or politics, and you can sidestep it and give the right media trained response where you can kind of go around it. It's a really strange answer that he gave, though, because once he's acknowledging that it didn't matter to him that he wasn't represented in media, but then asserting that it is important to represent.
Perhaps he's saying that he doesn't want his son, he feels that his son deserves to grow up with representation that he didn't get. Look, but that's not...
he's admitting that it didn't matter. And it's almost like he's implying that you need Captain America to be black because it will convince people that it's possible for black people to have, like, integrity and all these other traits that he listed.
Which has nothing to do with entertainment at all. Like, but believe it or not, guys, the last place I go for advice on integrity is Hollywood. I just laugh because when you think about the traits of Captain America, courage, bravery, I think of self-sacrifice. I think about that scene in Captain America, the First Avenger, when he jumps on top of the grenade without a thought to his own well-being. Hope for the future, loyalty, and leadership, because a big part of it is that, he starts off as the runt of the litter who grows, not just through the serum, but grows to become a leader of men. And that is important. Those are universal traits that don't require a skin color for someone to possess, nor do they need to be possessed by Captain America specifically. But I want to go through just some of the responses that I thought were the funniest, because right now, irrespective of everything that he's saying, your movie is box office middling. The projections aren't great. It's looking to open to under $100 million. You are kind of in a period right now where you can't afford any bad press. And that's exactly what this gives it. So I just took a bunch of them. So Geeky Sparkles from Clownfish TV says, when your film isn't tracking great, it might be a bad idea to say moronic things like this. Also, if this is how he feels, he should have declined the role. Verbal Riot says Captain America shouldn't represent America. Maybe Tyler Perry will throw him some mercy work after this shit show bombs.
Tyler Perry.
Leave Tyler Perry alone. I won't accept the Tyler Perry slander here.
drive-by there is crazy.
Lorena Creole says, bruh, America is in the character's hero name. Captain America. Don't be a tool.
Yeah.
Thorius Unlimited says Captain keeps his word, just doesn't have the same zing to it.
Captain Integrity.
That does sound like it would be like in a spin-off or like a parody.
Yeah.
Captain Integrity. Aaron Sparrow says no cap, not interested in seeing a Captain America movie that has no cap and even less America. Razor Fist says, for me, Pizza Hut represents a lot of things, and I don't think the term pizza should be one of those things. Douglas Ernst says, all Anthony had to do was say Captain America is a man who strives to realize America's ideals, even though its people are always working for a more perfect union, but instead he offered a mishmash of ridiculousness. Well, I'm going to be fair, his wording was pretty eloquent. I don't know if you could be he should have just said this really eloquent phrase, but he should have come up with something.
I wasn't expecting him to sit there and start talking up America and praising our political system or something. I wouldn't have expected that, but it's the distance he's creating between the character and American identity.
Well, I mean, people have done the same thing to
definitely a
Superman.
choice.
They've done to Superman as well, which is like he's no longer representative of America. He has to be a global hero. He can't be a hero just for America. But that's also a product of living in a more globalized society where even if you want to go away from the comics themselves and just talk about how it's adapted to screen, those studios are no longer making movies for just one audience anymore because they have to worry about a global box office. But when you try to make everyone happy, you end up making no one happy.
I have a feeling that when this underperforms, Anthony Mackie is going to take it really rough.
Look, he can go back to Twisted Metal. He was great in Twisted Metal. That show ruled. I was literally like when we were talking.
He
wants
more clout. He does it. He wants to be a movie star, not a streaming actor.
So this
He's
guy's
going to take it to the heart.
This guy says he represents the ideals of America. He doesn't represent a political ideology or administration. He represents an ideal and a dream. I don't know why people are ashamed of stripping patriotic heroes of the American title. I agree. And one more. Swin says Captain America is meant to represent the greatest values of America. He's a patriot who'd give anything to keep his homeland and those he loves safe while maintaining his morals. It's part of what makes him such a powerful leader, and the fact that Marvel can't see that is dire. I would put this on the same scale as the worry that I got yesterday from the guy making Daredevil Born Again, who seems to want to strip out some of the best parts of that show and give us just more mishmash slop, which I love slop, don't get me wrong, but if you're actually capable of doing the dialogue well, you should do it. So
I think it's going to underperform for much different reasons because obviously, as we always say, people who are like the average theater goer has no clue what Anthony Mackie is saying in interviews.
Yes, of course.
And has no clue. Like the average person on their couch looking for something to watch while they eat dinner has no clue what the Daredevil showrunner is saying about. Nobody knows any of this stuff except for us. It's not relevant.
When I was talking to the doctor today, I mentioned Captain. We were talking about my work, and we were talking about Captain America. He's like, another one? They literally had no idea there was a new Captain America coming out.
Yes, like they don't know.
Yeah.
And it's one of the most anticipated, maybe they said the most anticipated blockbuster of 2025. Like this is where we're at now.
It comes out on President's Day, so it's got a long weekend.
I thought it was Valentine's Day.
Isn't it? It's the same weekend. I'm saying
it's President's Day weekend. Is that intentional as well? Is that why?
Yeah, it gives them a long
asked
weekend.
You and you were like, oh no, it's because it's Black History Month.
That is part of it.
Did they say that?
No, doesn't matter.
It just seems that way.
They did it that way on purpose. Yes. Nobody can convince me that they didn't.
Well, if I wasn't convinced before, I am now.
Yeah.
For sure.
Again, I don't believe the $180 million budget that they're reporting. We're gonna have to wait and see how that one gets debunked later, but I don't believe it. Maybe the first shooting of it was, but I don't believe that by the time it came out. The whole Seth Rollins arc that he had is gone. They've reshot this movie 2 or 3 times. We'll have to wait and see. I'm not exactly hopeful. I'm going to go see it anyways, but I'm hoping that at some point somebody goes, yeah, I'm Captain America. Every time he says,
Captain.
Actually, that would be really fun. That'd be great. Okay. If he goes on SNL, but I wouldn't be surprised if they end up sending him to SNL before the movie comes out to promote it. Do a whole thing where he's ashamed to call himself Captain America. So he's like, Captain America.
Yeah.
Captain America. That'd be great. All right.
Laugh at yourself.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.